I think there's no surprise that I obviously love Arknights because it's such a really beautiful, fun to play game, and I'm gonna probably start glazing this game too much, so it's not gonna be that obvious. Anyway, how do people even live in Arknight? Yeah, obviously I need to know because I'm interested. Let's see.
There is a whole PV where Aegir literally hacked the video and called for every nation to please, for the love of God, put your difference aside and help us fight the ocean.
Life in
After
Terra.
finishing the Syracuse event, I thought about reading more of Arknight's story since the world is actually pretty interesting. But after reading through some of these events, explain to me how people even live in this world. Unless you are born with super arts, been given premium tier genetics, or friends with the main cast, you are not expected to survive past your 40s. Actually, scratch that, they aren't even having a good time either. Now, this isn't a power scaling video, nor a comprehensive lore guide because I still haven't read everything, and new lore comes out faster than I can find time to read.
This animation is kinda crazy. Billy, I'm talking to you, the Arknight fans right now. Listen carefully. If you guys have any playlist, join the Discord. That's the first step, by the way. And if there is more animation like these, please let me know. I would like to do some reaction to it. I would love to see it. This shit looks freaking cool.
This is just a fun little video about how messed up this world is, so without wasting any more of your time, number 1.
Top secret, okay.
The gods, otherwise known as the Fairmoods, are immortal, powerful beings that inhabit Terra. These beings come in many shapes and sizes and have powers that scales from controlling the landscape to time-space manipulation. The one I would like to focus on most in this segment is Fairmood Sui. So, a quick backstory on
Yo, what is this? Again, it's Billy, guys. I'm serious, we need to put some work together as a team.
Sui. Back then, when Yan was in his infant state, basically during a Chinese dynasty, there was a lot of infighting between clans. Then one man named Tru Lung rised up and united everyone under a single nation. However, the Fairmood have been using their powers to rule by fear, forcing the people to worship them like gods. But fear left for too long often breeds into hate, as one emperor decided to declare a legendary event known as the Great Hunt.
And the Great Hunt begins.
Believing that he can defeat gods, he carefully planned and lured the Fairmoods to a festival. Then he launched a full-scale attack, even shocking everyone with the partnership of Fairmood Sui. But Sui had alternative motives. The reason why
crazy
he helped
3D
the humans
chess.
was because he wanted to be the only god in Yan. Only the Emperor knew this. After all, he viewed all gods as being selfish and used Sui's power against him, imprisoning him deep underground and splitting him into 12 fragments. Since the Emperor succeeded, Yan basically became a world superpower, being the only nation to ever challenge and defeat gods. But in fighting them, the Empire lost millions. The army was nearly destroyed and the north part of Yan became corrupted because...
Like, don't get me wrong, the story is actually fine, but now, like, I'm coming back to the title, how do people even live? And what I'm hearing, everyone wants to kill each other, so like, the answer to the title is... they don't?
Of demons. We'll put a pin in that for later. But here's where things gets a bit prophetic. Sui is said to revive soon, and so are the other Fairmoods. After being killed or banished.
Yo, what the f- Are you telling me this is gonna be the boss that I'm gonna beat in that... Oh my... Is this even possible with my, like, tiny 3-star characters? I think I'm cooked.
By mere mortals,
what the fuck?
What do you suspect a god would do when they come back? Exactly. That's what the Yan government is thinking as well, and they've been preparing for the revival for over 1,000 years. And in order to have some political stability, a new policy was put into place that basically said to hide the impending doom from the innocent people. Not only do regular people not know about the gods returning, but also the fact that there are literal demons and seaborns coming for them. Put a pin in that one as well. To put things into perspective, after like 1,000 years have passed, a lot of people in Terra don't even know if the Fairmoods are real. In fact, they would just call them gods like we would. Now, imagine if your government not only hid the fact that they kept God's corpse in their basement, but also the fact that Armageddon is coming, and we might have pissed God off. I think it would go something like this for the average people. You're out doing your thing, then a countdown appears. What makes it even
Oh, that's
worse is,
a
of
nice
course,
gameplay.
Of course, there are factions and cults that are trying to reunite all the fragments to revive Sui. We actually get to see this when one of the dying Fairmoots named Ya came back to Yan for revenge against Sui and the country. But luckily, during the climax, Big Bro Changyu, one of the 12 fragments, managed to confront Ya, only for Ya to hit
these characters looks dope.
But Changyu said, I don't need magic.
Yo, look at this, dude. This is one of the finest character, at least like male character that I've seen when it comes to Arknight. Look at that arm. Holy. The armor.
And just
looking
beat
really
Ya
juicy.
out of the
Nice.
domain with Kung Fu. Honestly, with Nyan and her fragment siblings trying to fight against Destiny, by the way, she's my favorite beside the rice farmer, I think this event could maybe be survivable. But you know what's funny? If we are looking at just Fairmoot wise and not the other threats, Yarak might actually be the safest place to live in the entire world. You know, I've always been a winter guy. A little bit of snow here
Actually,
and there.
that looks
God
nice.
is still alive and pretty happy that people still worship her. But she does wish that the people didn't isolate themselves. That's right, this god wants you to go outside more. At one point, she basically took on a form of this woman and act as a maid to the Saintness. And I don't know if they did this on purpose or not, but they kind of made her look like a corpse. Her skin is super pale and usually blue lips tends to indicate a lack of oxygen. But yeah, she's just hanging around behind the scenes since she wants her people to be self-sufficient. But don't worry, here's a little miracle for you. I also like how they explain the reasoning for why these godlike beings doesn't instantly wipe the map is because their powers are actually landlocked. They're basically nerfed without home field advantage.
Okay, I thought they're gonna be just a little bit bored if they're gonna destroy everything. So, you know, they just gonna poke a little bit, you know, to add some spice to the story so they're not gonna be that bored. I actually wonder, like, how long do they live? Are they immortal?
You know what? No, she should be. So, yeah, that's number one. Time to move on to our next segment, cognitive hazard and info hazard. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the demons. As we know, demons portrayed
It's
in
a
anime
demon?
are usually one way or the other. They're either just another race or actually monsters. Unfortunately, the Arknights demons are like a disease type, cause they explain that the demons make no sense. As in, they are incomprehensible to the normal people and warp reality itself. In fact, demon is a term used to hide their real name. Their scientific name is called the Collapsals. Now, here's why this segment is called Cognitive Hazard and Info Hazard. The act of knowing or thinking about them gives you a chance of being corrupted. Imagine if your friend was like, I
What?
saw the other day in Sammy, right? I saw these like floating meatball things. Yeah, got like an eye and teeth and I don't know, freaky mouth, right? Apparently, they're called demons or collapsals if we're getting technical. The Snow Priest and something about getting my memory wipe, but wait, so they're kind of like Doom. Yeah, I guess you could.
What?
At least that's what I think would happen. But there's also this part that doesn't make sense to me. So there's this country called
Doesn't make sense. Like, I'm 7 minutes in and I feel confused as fuck. Like, when I click on this video, I was hoping to get some information, like knowing that the calamities, you know, moving cities, things like that are in the Arknight. So I was like, okay, maybe based on the race, because like most of these characters are like fury, basically like from the animals type of races, right? So they having some inherent, you know, capabilities or the traits that would make them to be a little bit more adaptive to a certain, you know, natural disasters, things like that. And maybe there's gonna be some explanation of some particular technology that's gonna like help a certain cities or places a little bit more safe, and maybe they will have some like Gundam like robot that's gonna protect all of them, instead of what I'm hearing, some like gods, demons, and getting a little bit freaking
Sammy
confused.
that's located super close to the north. Their Fairmoot, called Sammy, is slowly being corrupted, and the people of Sammy are expert at pushing them back. So far, some researcher and higher ups at Yan and Ursus knows about these collapsal. So explain to me how the act of knowing and thinking about them causing corruption doesn't affect these people. Now, I had to look up a wiki to see what the symptoms of corruptions are, and what I found is straight out of an SCP file. Your body starts to develop black patches,
Oh,
faces
shit.
becoming a singularity that do not reflect visible light. Literal Walking Dead. Loss of the ability to understand language or mathematics. Luckily, this time there wasn't any cultists. Or at least I couldn't find any. Okay, after hearing all this, how hasn't the world been run over yet? We got some super soldiers in Yan fighting off the corruption, then of course Sammy Snow Priest doing the same since they are the most knowledgeable, and lastly the Ursus Empire. Apparently they're somehow using occult rituals to fuse collapsal powers into super soldiers. As far as I've read, this is a losing battle, and they're only keeping the demons at bay right now. Oh, and of course, they have space and time manipulation too, because why not, right? But with all of this in mind, what is even more terrifying than something that you can't even think about? Something that's
not
even more
it.
dangerous than reality warping powers.
There isn't more?
That's where we head to segment 3.
What is it, Kraken?
Now, segment 3 is where things go from somewhat controllable to utterly inevitable. Imagine you live near the sea. Maybe sometime go there
Oh,
for
hell
a nice
no.
relaxing wake.
I remember that country, I forgot the name. Well, to be honest, I don't remember like any of these names. I just remember the map. But there was like one particular underground, not underground, underwater city. That's probably the least place I would ever want to live. Also, like when I'm like listening this video, like halfway through, I'm actually having a feeling I wouldn't even want to be born like in the Arknight universe, because like everything seems to be a freaking depression. Like when I saw the very first video, there were such a, you know, cool places to live in, but now like seeing how terrifying and like how difficult to is to even like preserve the life. It's kind of giving me depression already.
Then all of a sudden you start to
Yo,
hear
who
these
is this?
wriggly, slimy creatures emerging from the ocean. They are
That's a good
called
pick for the
the
sound.
Seaborn. From my understanding, these things will immediately try to shut down your nervous system and assimilate you into their hive mind. The main thing separating their aggression,
Ew.
however, is the fact that they don't really do this for fun like the collapsals. They just want to preserve and survive like any other animal.
they're
But
just
these
innocent.
underwater people called the A-Gear did something to them that made them view all of humanity as a threat. What makes them more dangerous than the collapsal is the fact that they can evolve and adapt to anything. You shot one with a gun? Now their whole species is bulletproof. There are tiers.
How? What? Can you just explain to me how they even like counter these creatures? Like this seems to be impossible to even like kill it in the first place. Like kill one and then like you basically fight for the rest of your life, which is gonna be like 5 seconds.
To these things, by the way, being as small as a microbe to these flower urchin looking thing, all the way to these leviathan class. These things only recently became a problem, and
No
unfortunately,
freaking way.
again, no one knows about them. The country called Iberia, located closest to them, thought that, hey, maybe we should be the only line of defense against these creatures. And of course, there's a cult. These guys are called the Church of the...
Tell me the country that there isn't any cult. It seems like everything has some kind of like in a cult, and it's eventually it's really hungry for the power, greedy creatures.
Deep. And guess what they believe in? Surprisingly, not the next step to evolution. They actually believe that everyone should be
Tentacles.
assimilated into the hive mind, because being under a collective mind would mean no more wars and sadness. So they made sure that the Seaborn stays hating humanity. Probably introduced them to the internet or something. But now you might be wondering how these things haven't ended the world yet. Luckily, they aren't actually intelligent. According to one of the Abyss Hunter, which
really?
I'll get to later, these guys only adapt when they need to. This is a ticking time bomb, because they only need to have someone in their collective mind to be smart enough to do this, and boom, everyone can adapt passively now.
So basically it can happen like any time of day. So like this ticking bomb is actually kind of crazy. It's a little bit scary. Also, like knowing that a lot of things has been inspired by a real world, it kind of giving me a little bit more anxiety, not gonna lie.
Now, About the Abyss Hunters.
Now I'm gonna have a
They
bad
come from
sleep
this
tonight.
underwater city and are pretty much hybrid super soldiers made to kill Seaborns. And the higher grade Seaborn can just ragdoll the strongest among them. By the way, this one is promptly called the End Speaker. Because they are half Seaborn though, this does mean that they eventually will be assimilated as well. But I feel like I haven't sold you on the Seaborn problem yet.
I mean, just seeing this detail right here, I don't know why. It's such a simple picture with like a minor detail, but like showing me like so many raising so many curiosity in me. Who is she? What is her secret? Why is she having dragon-like scale on her neck? Is she good? Is she bad? What's going to happen to her?
As well. But I feel like I haven't sold you on the Seaborn problem yet.
Don't tell me, like, this is genuinely looks like such a really cool, nice picnic, right? Are they actually frying the tentacles or baking? Well, maybe that's gonna be the last meal, seeing another tentacle here, unless it's a dead one, but I would assume that's a basically friend of this guy, and yeah, rest in peace, girl.
So let me tell you about a worst case scenario.
This.
In IS-3, we get to explore alternative timelines about the Seaborn, but first, some context. There is a character called Scotty. She's one of the Abyss Hunters and is one of the most powerful people in the world because her battle causes massive property damage, including collapsing an entire fort.
Is she playable character?
Not a power scaling video, so I won't do any math. But mind you, she is just using a greatsword. So she managed to take down one of the Leviathan called Isha.
That's actually crazy.
However, when the Leviathan was defeated,
insane.
its blood managed to fuse with Scotty and now lays dormant. Now, in the worst case scenario timeline, Ishar Milan managed to take over Scotty's mind, bringing in a new age called the Second Silent. There is a whole PV where Aegir literally hacked the video and called for every nation to please, for the love of God, put your difference aside and help us fight the ocean. But as we soon see, this does not work.
We gotta
this
assemble
animation made by
us we cooked.
beautifully showed us what could have happened during the fall of humanity. The animation begins with a man stripped of everything, his work stolen in order to make the very flying machine in the sky. But as he was peering up, a robot appears and shoots the man for what I presume is the originium infection. Then they dumped his body off the landship where he falls beside a Seaborn. It beckons to him.
Revenge. Kill them all.
Into the many, where his pain and suffering will disappear. Assimilations. Then, giant flying mantis soars through the destroyed city. Waves of endless Seaborn storms the landship, but the machine managed to repel them with giant flames.
I mean that's kind of understandable scenario, right? Like he was full of anger and now it's time to like switch the Unicard. Also just seeing this robot like kill this guy, it kind of like giving me the recent vibes that like AI falsely flags someone for committing the crimes. I just hope we're not gonna like foreshadow anything here. It's already like way too dark.
The absolute scale of
what is this being?
Broke through the wall, forcing the Titans to hold them off. We also
Yeah,
get to
that's
see
huge.
Saria's calcification research being used here. The angel people saw something terrifying, something I believe to be the
Is actually someone who's calling themselves angel people? Like really? Is this another cult? That's like the stupidest name I've ever heard. At least like when it comes to the Arknight. Like I have nothing against the faction and things like that, but like calling themselves angel people, if nothing else, it's a little bit silly.
As people, the Titan succeed. Only that was one of many. The red is what I assume to be the Sarkaz managing to repel the Seaborn once again. But once the Seaborn is killed by something,
one and
the
two
rest
appear.
adapt with this new information. The angel people are overrun, forcing a drastic option. It is said that the Emperor's Blade, the very soldier using the demonic collapsal power, sacrificed themselves to form an impenetrable barrier.
Was it
However,
actually useful?
It only took the Seaborn a few months to adapt to that as well. Easily.
Oh my god. Oh, just imagine sacrifice yourself for like 2 months of not even peace. The people already must be terrified already. Honestly, just could you imagine living in such a world? Like, even though you find some like sweet chick you want to spend your rest of life with, raising the family, it's probably not as such a great option. Which actually leads to another question, like, do they actually people like thrive in such an environment? Like, you know, do they kind of multiply? Because personally I wouldn't.
Bypassing the dominion that is meant to corrupt all life and reality. After this, many innocent evacuated to the...
Just look at that picture. Okay, even this one. I wouldn't say it's like poorly drawn, but you know, it seems to be like a quick sketch type of art. Not many details, but the picture itself having like so many emotions and not a single good one.
City. Nature was being assimilated. Casimir Knights trying to buy time, but the evacuation wasn't going well. There were too many people.
Yo.
This image honestly goes hard. It shows the combined forces of every nation's strongest soldiers working together. Their might, however strong, collapsed in less than a day. In the last moment, Amiya had to break her limiters and use everything she can to fight back. We even see the Fairmoots themselves joining in the battle against the Leviathans.
Is she that strong?
And a simulation took place, and we get to see Skadi Ishamilah's form. The firstborn stands before Amiya. Then, we get to see these beautiful shots of how much destruction the Seaborn had created. In the end, with 99% of humanity either eliminated or assimilated, the Seaborn begins to fly, breaking past the fake sky and entering space. Finally, freeing Terra of its threat. I believe the animation is based off the final ending of IS-4, where you hatch this insane plan with Mizuki and he becomes the Seaborn god to take them into space before the hive mind could eliminate all life.
So basically everyone is cooked. How do people even live in Arknight? They don't. They just get wiped out. Oh my god. Also, it's funny, like by this like last few seconds or like the last minute, the dude literally like changed the atmosphere like in her voice. It's kind of funny.
It is said that after many years, his desire to come back to Rhodes Island allowed him a human body. When he touched the land again, he witnessed that the originium is gone, the wildlife no longer barren.
That's the most beautiful and colorful picture in the entire video.
And he does get that wish of coming back to a place he calls home. Humanity was rebuilding,
what is
and
home?
We even learned that some young Seaborn still lives on Terra, with the current people treating them like normal animals and even giving them food, sending a new perspective up into the stars. Humanity today is no longer a threat. We
because
can coexist.
It's no longer a threat because nobody's here. Everyone's gone. Yeah, we can coexist with humans, of course, because like how many people are there? Like 5?
Exist with humans. This is what I really love about Arknights. Despite every horrible world-ending entities, Arknight is a profoundly hopeful game. The message of Arknight is,
hopeful,
and has
I'm
always
already
been for the past
depressed.
5 years, is that while the world itself might be cruel, a better future can always be built through collective
No, that's a nice
actions.
profile picture. Honestly, I don't know if I even want to see the part 2. Like, I already had such a high hopes, and eventually it didn't go as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Arknight and the overall lore, it's really, really interesting. I mean, maybe it's the part of why it's so interesting, because I'm seeing like so many pains, like so much pain, so much emotions, and there is like a really tiny hope that you cannot even smell, you cannot even feel it in the air, but yet for some reason it's actually still really interesting. Like I said, I was low-key hoping for some kinda like technological or technology explanation type of video, because personally I kinda found it really interesting how they're using the originium, things like that, to, you know, a little bit thrive, and maybe like how they prevent the diseases, like how they surviving the calamities, the lot more like difficult surroundings, how they make a food, how they make some love. Well, the love is probably the last thing they do in this world. You get a point, right? A little bit nerdy, detailed process of a certain things in the Arknight. Either way, I'll be seeing you next time. Have a lovely day and take care.